Tento pořad sponzorují monitory Samsung Odyssey s QHD rozlišením pro maximální zážitek ze hry. Samsung.
Thank you very much, Device, for having us here. First of all, congratulations for making the playoffs.
Thank you.
And first of all, I would like to get a bit down the history. It's been a couple of days since you had a 6-month anniversary with NiP. How has it been for you?
I think it's been a little bit up and down. Some tough times and some good times, but overall a journey I'm happy to be a part of. I mean, like, it's been fast 6 months as well. I don't feel like I've been here a half year already, but yeah, I'm still happy here, and I love to be here. Yeah,
that's great to hear. Let's get a bit down deeper, the history. You started off strong with a second place finish on Flashpoint, but then you went a bit quiet, but then you rised again in the second half of the year with the IM Summer, ESL Pro League, and now your win on IM Fall, and now finally playoffs on the Majors. So what caused this sudden drop in form, and what made you come back again?
I mean, I think there's a lot of things. We brought in Linus, who's a new guy, and in general, I still needed to learn how to adapt to the system and the culture. So I think it's quite natural that you don't go out there and perform perfectly from the start. There's always this honeymoon phase, which was probably the RMR, the first one. Other than that, I think we've always been working hard, so we always knew that it was going to be a long journey before we could become champions of a tournament like IM Fall. And yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't say the drop was too hard as well. Obviously, there was some disappointing results, but that's how CS is, and you just gotta get moving because there's always a next tournament almost coming up instantly.
I understand, because the adaptation must have been pretty tough, because you came into NiP after 4 or 5 years with the same roster, with the same captain, and what was the hardest thing in NiP to get used to? And was the language barrier something tough to get used to, or was it Hampus's calling style? Was it different? What was the biggest difference?
I mean, the calling style is definitely different. It wasn't that. I think it was more me trying to adapt, learn a little bit more with the call-outs. The language is not the big problem, but it still takes some time, right? And I just think it's a natural process, getting used to settling in and being in a new room full of people you don't know, and you have to trust each other really a lot to perform well, and I think it just takes time to build that. It's the same in almost every sport, I would say, so I knew changing teams wasn't going to be we're instantly going to be the best. But I really think that we are onto something and we are moving in the right direction all of the time.
There was a roster change even after you arrived in NiP, so did that make the situation a little bit harder as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think that the fifth guy, Linus, he is new, completely new, coming from Young Ninjas, and before that, basically no experience. So that's definitely different what I've been playing with before, and I feel like I'm a little bit more of a father figure in this team in regards of experience and stuff like that. So yeah, of course it didn't slow us down. I think he's a great player, and it's just a process. It's always like this. You can't expect to go out there and win in a tournament where you have the teams that are already settled in with the roster and everything just piling on, like Gambit and Na'Vi and all of the other teams that are just performing well, right? So we knew that it's going to take some time to really adapt and settle into the top tier CS. But yeah, we feel like we are a really strong team, and that we get a lot of respect from opponents, and that's what we want.
I noticed that especially in your last game against Copenhagen Flames, Lindsay just stepped up massively at the times. Was it something that you taught him to do, or is it just his raw natural talent that just got its way?
I mean, it's not something I just taught him to do. I think he has a lot of talent. He sometimes doubts himself a little bit, so I have to sometimes tell him that he's good enough, he deserves to be here and stuff like that, right? So that's the only real thing that is hard for him sometimes. Other than that, I think he's a really good player, and when he is not using his energy on thinking too much or doubting himself, he is just one of the best on the server always. And yesterday against Copenhagen Flames, he was probably the determining factor with Hampus, making us win. So yeah, I'm just proud actually of him doing that, because it takes a lot of guts to really step up in those games.
I'm going to go a little bit back to the past again. One more question about your past roster. How did you get on with Astralis? Well, after you absolutely destroyed them 16-1 during the Legend stage, it seemed that you mostly got warm hugs and welcomes. So is there some bad blood with the rest of the team or not at all? And do you get in touch or?
Yeah, we talk a lot. I mean, like, we're good friends, everyone. I was in Copenhagen recently, visited them all, and like, yeah, I think we are not like best buddies like we used to be in the teams. Some of us talk more than others, but we can always sit down and talk for hours if we want to. I think that we have like some mutual connection, kind of love in some way that we will always share of the memories we have. So, I mean, in the start it was a little bit more hostile in some way, but I think now we're just the same old, but we're not playing together anymore.
I understand. The move from Astralis, like this, I noticed that in Denmark there's like such a huge hype about Astralis and CS in general. So did you get some of the hate when going into Sweden, into an organization that's always been pretty much Swedish? So did you get some of that bad blood or not at all?
I don't know, honestly. I don't really try to tap into so much of the love-hate because I feel like it's tough to actually not get too carried away with all of the different negative stuff that people say. So I don't really read about me or myself or the team that much, honestly. I think obviously there was some hate. There was the intro video and everything where I said that we were 5 steps ahead in NiP, which is taken out of like context and stuff like that. So I knew that people were not gonna be so happy with me, but like I think it's okay. I'm still a Dane playing in a Swedish team. Hopefully people can respect that. It's not like, I don't know, betrayed the country so much. I don't know really. Honestly, if that's what people want to think, they're allowed to think that. But yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about the Danish fans.
That's great to hear. Let's get to the major. You qualified for the Legend stage directly and went 2-0, but then it got tougher after losses against Gambit and Navi. How did you reflect that inside of the team? Did those losses help you find your weak spots coming into the match against Copenhagen Flames, or did you just concentrate on your game fully?
I mean, like, we were on a 14-match win streak going into the 2 games there against Navi and Gambit, of course, only going into the Navi match. So we were quite confident, but we've always had a pretty hard time playing against the CIS teams. They play a little bit differently, but I mean, like, we didn't really show up on those days, and I think it created some doubt in our game and everything like that. So obviously I had some good reflections with the team behind us and the performance team, and they're trying to help us settle in and be calm and contain the nerves and stuff like that. So yeah, there was some talks and a little bit of doubt, but I think that we know we can do so much better, and now the pressure is a little bit off. We just wanted to go to the arena, and yeah, we can play freely, and I think we're going to be a lot better now. I really do believe that, and yeah, of course the losses sting, but there were also 3 chances to get to the major and or to the playoffs, and we survived, and we're here, and now we just gotta play and have fun and enjoy the moments.
Well, you're going to have your home crowd cheering you on, which is definitely going to help a lot. Do you think that it gives you the advantage over, for example, your first opponents, G2?
I think so, honestly. I love to play in a crowd where people cheer us on. I think you have to tap into it, you have to use it. If you kind of become a little bit fragile and scared of the crowd, if it becomes silent because you're losing and stuff like that, you really have to use the hype and to use the atmosphere to lead you on. Otherwise I think that it can become tougher. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that everyone on the team just understands that we're here to have like fun, enjoy the moments. It's like going to be really special. It's the first time in Sweden in a long time we have the crowd, and for everyone that we have a crowd, right? So just take in and like acknowledge that it's a pretty cool moment in your life, and you just gotta have fun with it. And it's just CS in the end, and we feel like we can beat any team if we're playing good on the day.
This is going to be the first big LAN tournament with the crowd, so do you think that it's moved forward in terms of the CS? Does the meta change? Will the meta change because of the comeback to the LAN, or do you think that the onliners will survive this change?
I don't think there are that many onliners left, honestly. I think that it was just sort of a thing in the beginning of online CS. So Gambit and Heroic are the two teams that people always picked on because they were onliners, and I think that they're in the playoffs both. So no, I think that everyone are going to be nervous. It's like even me, even though I've been here for so much time, it's been almost 2 years since I played in front of a crowd, so you can't really use that experience for much when it's been so long time since the last time. So yeah, I mean, like, it's just, as I said, I don't think it will change that much. I think, of course, some players will have a harder time playing with those nerves and trying to deal with that, but I also think that most players will just do their thing and show them who's the boss, right?
Now, once again, about your opponents, G2, they've got a massive support now with Nico coming in. Do you think that the power trio of the Kovac cousins will play some major role on the major, or do you think that, or do you consider them just your opponents and you're going to just consider your game and not concentrate on them as much?
I mean, you always concentrate on your opponents, but you look at them as a team and not as individuals. Of course, they're good players, both of them, amazing players. I feel like we have some amazing players as well, so it's more about like making a team game plan and looking at that as a whole, as a unit, and trying to obviously see what types of patterns there is in their offense and defense, and yeah, that's basically how you do the game plan. But yeah, huge respect. I think he's playing really well, Nico, at the moment, and he's probably one of the best aimers in the world, right? So you gotta take that in consideration when you know you're going to play them, but you respect your opponents, but you don't really fear them. There's not really any players you really fear playing against. But yeah, they can take over the game at any time, and hopefully we can shut them down.
I wanted to ask a question about the playoffs in general. There's only one non-EU team, which is Furia. Do you see some sort of a pattern with the NA teams just slowly falling down? Because 2 years ago you used to battle Liquid for the Intel Grand Slam, and now they didn't even make playoffs. Do you think there's a way for them to save themselves, or as the NA scene as a whole, or do you think that the majority of the scene is just going to be European for now?
I mean, like, it's just like this with COVID. The US teams can't just go and live here for 2 years and be away from their families and through a pandemic. So I think it's pretty easily understandable why they haven't had the same practice and the same quality of practice. And a lot of players are moving to Valorant, which is obviously also a good game. So I mean, like, it makes sense. I'm really proud of the Furia guys. I love them. They're good guys, so awesome that they're in the playoffs. And of course, I think that the NA scene would bounce back at some point. It's pretty much also the same with the Asian scene. They haven't had the same level, but they also had a little bit of a drop-off because they haven't had the quality of practice and the chances of actually going to Europe and playing against the best teams every day. So it's a big disadvantage to them. And I just hope that they don't give up, all of them, because it would suck for CS to not have any NA teams at all. But yeah, I understand that it's a tough moment for all of them, because even with the little travel schedule we've had, it's still been tough being out the family and stuff like that. So I can't imagine like what a player like Obo, who played in Complexity, was just away from his family for more than a year, right? It's not fun, and it's not, CS is not everything in life. So I understand that sometimes you have to prioritize being mentally fresh, and I think that's what has happened. And yeah, I think with probably returning back to normal at some point, but yeah, at that point we'll definitely get the NA teams back.
You mentioned Valorant. Is it an option you consider sometime in your career, or not at all?
I don't really think too much about like the 5-year, 3-year, 1-year time span of my career, honestly. It's not something I open up a lot. CS goes on and on and on, and it's like a train that you can't really get off, right? Because there's a tournament always coming up. So I don't really think about my future that much, but I think the game is cool. I play it once in a while and definitely watch it a lot. So it's good for CS to have a little bit of competition as well. But yeah, nah, I'm not really thinking about moving to Valorant at all.
You are, by large margin, I would say, one of the greatest players to ever touch on CS. You hold the record for the most MVP medals, even though Simple is slightly behind.
He's coming.
Yeah, he's coming. So, is there some beef between you two? Is there something you try to prove yourself to him, or is it just you and him in your separate teams, just playing your best game?
No, I think we talk a lot. I think we have a lot of respect for each other. I think he's not been there ever since I've been there, since the start, right? And he's obviously skilled in a different way, I would say, than me. He provides a lot of more individual firepower to the team than I do, whereas I think that I provide some different experience and calmness and stuff like that. So I think we're different players in some regard, and I think we talk sometimes and we're good friends and it's fine, right? But yeah, I mean, like, I think at the moment he's just on another level than other players, and I don't really also like to compare myself so much to others. But yeah, he's a really good guy and a really good player, and he deserves to achieve all the things he wants.
I come from the Czech Republic, so I've got two obligatory questions. On the major, the Russian squad Entropiq was representing a Czech organization. That was a chance you could play against them in the Legend stage. What do you think about their chances of going to playoffs, and do you think about their form? Because after they went from win streak, they just got up from their bottom, let's say. They were outside of top 10 and top 20, sorry, and now they finished just outside of playoffs. So what do you think about them?
I think they're a good team, play good CS. Not much bad to say. They're really nice guys. First time I met some of them here, so hopefully they just keep climbing. I think they're a little bit like Copenhagen Flames, a team that's played together for some time and are just continuously getting better. It's pretty cool to see that happen, and yeah, I think the support from the organization probably meant something to them since they suddenly started becoming better and better, right? And it's fun to see these teams that are up and coming getting picked up, getting better support from the organization and just getting better, right? So yeah, unfortunately they didn't make it. I was cheering for Furia in the one game, but yeah, I mean, like, they're going to have a lot of chances in their career to get to the major playoffs, and hopefully at one point they'll do it.
And the second question is about a Czech player, Oscar, who used to play for Barvách Sports and now plays under the Sinners banner with the Czech squad. Do you think they have a chance of breaking into Tier 1 CS permanently? Or do you watch them sometimes?
Yeah, they were in the, what do you call it, IMFL as well. I think they're a good team, surprised a lot of teams in the best of ones. Nothing bad to say. I think Oscar is a pretty cool player. I always feel like he's been on teams where he performs well, but it just sometimes don't work out. Suddenly he's like out of mouse and stuff like that. So I don't know why. I think he's always been a really, really skilled player, and obviously the team is pretty good. I think Neofrag is pretty good as well. He's a pretty cool guy, I think. So yeah, I mean, like, there are so many of these teams that are up and coming, and I think that to take the next step, it really requires focus and determination and a common goal set for the team. And I don't really know that much about them as individuals or as a team, but yeah, they definitely have the skill to do it at one point.
So that's all from me. So I thank you very much for answering all my exhausting questions,
No worry,
and
bro.
I'm going to wish you all the best in the playoffs.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Tento pořad sponzorují monitory Samsung Odyssey s QHD rozlišením pro maximální zážitek ze hry. Samsung.